Hello everyone, I am Jeff. I'm going to be talking about burglary and theft between juveniles and adults. Let me just get right there. There we go. Got a little bit about armed burglary and theft. Typically, there needs to be more details to determine exactly what is being sentenced, because there can either be armed robbery or there cannot be armed robbery. Armed robbery is usually called aggravated robbery, and that usually can be used with a weapon such as a gun, a cane, or anything that can be used to hurt intent to hurt someone else to get what they want in the break-in. Robbery can mean either entering the building, using something to get inside the building. You don't have to physically attempt or physically complete the robbery to have it done, but once you get in and try to take something, it can be considered robbery as well. Some other parts that could be used for robbery, aggravated robbery, would be like canes, animals, parts of the human body, vehicles. Like I said, anything that can be used to cause harm to somebody else or intent to cause harm. In most cases, you would think it is actually a gun, though, but it can be pretty much anything. Another example would be aggravated assault. A lot of people know what aggravated assault is. It's pretty much the same thing. It's just used in the robbery. For adults, burglary and theft. For adults, robbery is pretty much always going to be a felony. It's a federal law. You don't want to do it. If you include a weapon, then the state punishes you more harshly than if you don't use a weapon, and that can vary by state, by years in prison, and depending on if they offer you parole and stuff like that. Uh, Typically, these punishments could range from 5 to 99 years. Pretty much, it could range from a few years to life in prison, with or without the possibility of parole. Some factors that do go into the punishments would be what weapons were used. If a gun was the if it was a gun, was the weapon loaded? Was the weapon used in a threatening manner? What kind of weapon was it? And if the weapon was used in an intent to harm or even kill, then there could be even additional charges added on. Burglary and theft with juveniles. All states actually criminalize juvenile behavior, and it's not really considered a felony for them, depending on how serious the crime is. So they will always face juvenile charges for the most part. Juveniles get a lot more choices when it comes to punishments that they can be punished with, which could be fines, restitution, counseling, probation, and detention. These are the types of punishments, but they are meant to be more towards rehab, because they want the juvenile to not make the same mistakes in the future for when they are being charged as an adult, and they want them to be basically better by the time they become an adult. Whereas if you're an adult, it's mainly punishment, but they're also doing rehab, but they're trying to also teach you a lesson as well. Here are the types of punishments for some juveniles. Some juveniles are required to pay the fines for the theft or burglary, to replace whatever items they may have stole or even damaged. That also goes with restitution. They want them to pay back the damage done to the victim. Counseling can be ordered as well. Probation can be given, where they need to follow a certain set of guidelines. Like, if an adult does probation, like you can't go within so many meters of a certain place, or not allowed to get caught smoking or drinking or anything like that, because juveniles do that as well. So that could be in part of their probation too. They might also be required to work in a detention program. That could mainly mean them volunteering for the community and is required, or they can be put in a full-time detention facility like a juvenile detention center or a juvenile home. A couple ethical issues to finish off here. You never want to treat anyone differently from one another. You want to treat them like they're all pretty much the same. I mean, everyone has their special cases, but the judge pretty much decides what's going to go on with them. You don't want to basically judge them by what they have done. You don't want to treat juveniles like they're criminals until the judge's hearing, and you don't want to know. You don't want to know what is going on in their lives to make them act out, because everyone's acting differently for the reasons, and the main one is actually use of force is what you really need to watch out for. You don't want to threaten anyone's lives if they're not threatening yours, especially juveniles, because you hear all these cases on the news about officers using excessive use of force when it's not always needed. But a lot of these juveniles don't know better because they are being taught not to obey police officers and stuff like that. So I believe that is it for this presentation. Not very long, but it got the point across, I hope, for you guys at least. I hope you guys liked the video, and I look forward to seeing your other presentations if that's what we're actually sharing within the class.